Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live on Relics Radio tonight. It is November the 15th, 2018, and we're coming to you from the beautiful Cumberland River Valley of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And I am your host of Relics Radio, Digging with Seven.
And I am your co-host, Tennessee Jeff.
Oh, it's got cold on us, ain't it, Jeff?
Buddy, it has. It's been snowing, sleeting, a little bit of rain. It's been terrible the last couple of days. And we had, I think, 4 inches of rain last night. At least it was rain instead of all ice.
Yeah. Raina, my wife, flew out this morning on her birthday for her birthday present. Her and the girls went to New York City. And
New York City?
New York City. Yeah, they went to New York City. And she said whenever they landed that it was flurrying just a little bit, and they went out to Times Square, and by the time that they got there, she said it come a monster snow on them. And they were walking around in all that slush and everything, and then they FaceTimed me when they got back to the room, and they looked like a bunch of drowned rats. Their hair was all laid down and everything. But I think that they're having a good time. I tell you what, I'm a little bit discombobulated tonight because we did some live Skype video stuff this week, and I had to move things around in the studio, and my left is now on my right, and my right's on my left. If I can just keep my up from being on my down and my down from being on my up, maybe we'll get through this show. I don't know.
But you're in rough shape then.
I know it. Isn't it amazing how you get used to everything being in one spot, and then when it moves, it's just crazy. But that's the way it is.
You said that yesterday that you were going to be all messed up when, tonight when the show starts, and sure enough, you are.
Yeah, I really am. Hey, the chat's filling up, ain't it, Jeff?
This sure is. We've got Jerry in there, Bill Hayes. There's Ken. We got Dennis, Jason, Ohio Relic Hunter. Move on down a little bit. Missouri Mike, he was the first one in, and there's Jason again. Hey, there's Digging with Seven. He's in the house tonight. And then there's Tennessee Jeff. So
yeah. And Gordon is in. I see him.
Yep, there's Gordon. Yep.
Paul Forsay. Dennis Gretchencourt is in. Shannon Copeland. Hello, little Emily. And, we got a house full. And I tell you what, it is a good thing because we are going to have one of the greatest shows that we've had since we started over a year ago, aren't we?
We sure are, man. It's going to be a great show. And some of the work he does, I have no idea how he does it, but he does a great job with it. So,
well,
who we got tonight?
We got Gary Penta. Are you there, Gary?
I'm here, guys. How you doing?
Oh, we're just doing great, and so excited to have you on the show here tonight, and to get to talk to you. And the elephant in the room now is these miniatures that you make. Tell us about them a little bit. What got you started, and some of the techniques and stuff like that you use.
Okay. Well, first off, let me say thank you so much for the wonderful comments that you guys have been sending me, and thanks for I get so many compliments from the community, the metal detecting community, and I love it. I really do. To answer your question, I do quite a bit of stuff as far as types of artwork type of stuff. Of course, I do the miniatures, which you just asked me about. But I do dioramas. I'm into the photography as far as some of the locations that I go to. I like to create videos. I do restorations on some of the finds, not only my finds, but other individuals, people that I know ask me to restore their items. And you might have seen some of my restorations. I encourage your listeners to go, maybe open up the second tab and go to mydetecting.com, because some things we talk about, they'll be able to pull up the tabs, at the top. There'll be the little buddies, which are the little miniature men and detectors that I make. There's the detectors, which are the mini detectors, the dioramas and the finds and the things we just spoke about. Anyway, to answer your question, I kind of transitioned when I first started making some of the metal detecting themed artwork. Actually started out with my very first diorama was almost exactly a year ago. I got notified on Facebook yesterday or yesterday or this morning, I can't remember, that it has been a year since I created my very first diorama. So everything you see on my website has all been within the last 365 days. I mean, before that, I wasn't really doing anything. And what I can tell you also is it kind of came out of the blue. I have no formal art training. The last time I took an art course was back in high school. And just out of the blue. And really, it all started with my younger sister. Her name is Debbie. Matter of fact, she's probably listening right now, so I'm going to say hello to my sister, Debbie. And it was like November of last year, and I wanted to make her something special for Christmas. Every year I'd kind of made her something. So last year I wanted to do something very special. So I bought a kit, and the first diorama was actually a kit, and it was basically looked like a living room. And what I did is I built a living room, and I just kind of kept going with it. And then I built like the outside and with lights and LEDs and Christmas and snow, everything. On one side, there's a snowbank, and I actually built a diorama within a diorama, because inside the snowbank is a little burrow, and you could see little rabbits in there, and in the bedroom. And I actually was able to use a specific LED bulb and make a flickering fireplace and so forth and so on. So I made that for her, and sent it to her, and she just went crazy over it. And she pretty much told me, you got to keep going. She goes, you have a gift. She goes, you might not know that, but you have a gift. And the detail, she said, was just, was mind-boggling. And I don't even think she put it away when Christmas slipped. I think she keeps it out. And she, there was a little button on. You push a button, and the lights would come on, and Nat King Cole would sing, the Christmas song. And like I said, she was probably my biggest inspiration as far as the dioramas. And so I did. And I started to build, more dioramas. And if you go on my website, you can see, there's a whole list of the dioramas that I started making. And so I did that. But the dioramas are very, very labor intensive. They take anywhere from 3, 4, 5 weeks on some of the bigger ones. But I built several, and I actually had them on display at. I took a couple down to Kellyco, and my buddy down there, Steve Meeks. I said, "Hey, Steve, how do you feel about me dropping off a diorama or two?" And he said, "Wonderful. We'd love to have them." So I did. I dropped off maybe 1, maybe 2. And every time I spoke to him, he said that the customers were just going crazy. So I kept making them. But as I said, they can be labor intensive. So what I did is I started making smaller items. I started making like figures, detectorist figures, and these are just generic figures. didn't look like anybody when I first started. They were just characters. And so I made by hand, I would make little metal detectors. And they came out pretty good. And then one day, I got a buddy that's in Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. His name is Ken Arrington. And Ken, I always call Ken the Uber detectorist, because Ken is really directed, and he's very good at what he does. He uses CTX. And so I created one that looks exactly like Ken. And it was on a base, and it's on my website, and you could see it says Little Ken. And I did a little write-up on it, basically given, kind of like just a little description of him and, some things about him. And that was the first one. And then from then on, the compliments just rolled in, So what I started doing is I started just hand-picking individuals in the metal detecting community. And most of the first ones were actually in my club, the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. And but I wouldn't tell them. That I was actually making, a figure of them. What I would do is, I'd pick somebody who kind of was special in some way, whether in the community or they're charismatic or they were somehow they stood out and they caught my eye. So I would stalk them on Facebook for about a week, and I would just start downloading all kinds of pictures of their body style, facial features, hair color, and then I would look for their gear and all their detecting pictures, and I would find out what specific model metal detector they were using, what color their belt was, what kind of pinpointer they're using, what kind of shovel they were using, what hand they carried their metal detector in, and what side of the belt they wore their pinpointer on. And so the more I made these things, the more I would get. I realized that I'm a compliment junkie, because you guys probably know I don't sell these things, and there's many reasons for that. But I do like the compliments, and the more compliments that I received, the more I wanted to, impress and give back to the community something special that was just given to me by God. So again, I would get all these details, and I would just when I'd build it, and then on any given day, I would just drop it on Facebook without saying anything. And it's easy to tell who the individual is, and then somebody invariably would say, "Oh my God, it's so and so," and then they would text them. Yeah, they would text them, and then I would just sit back and watch. I'd sit back and watch the compliments, and I really enjoyed that. And now to answer your question, same thing with the figures. I did several of them, several on my website, but I wanted something that was kind of like, I guess, a lot of instant gratification, because the little detectors, I can make anywhere from 5 to 6 of them per day. Once you get the technique down, and you can, and I make them as detailed as possible. A lot of the detectors, many detectors that I make, I've never seen before. I've never held them. I've never seen them. I go by pictures only. I'll go on, the manufacturer's website, or I'll see somebody holding one, and I kind of get a feel for the different sizes. I can, look up the research and find how big the coil is. And I use, usually a standard scale that I use is 1:12 ratio, which is fairly easy to reproduce. And but I make sure the coil has this exact profile on the model. It has the exact size. I use digital calipers, and everything from the wires to the shafts, the handles, the screens, the head unit, and everything. And I just I try to make it as accurate as possible. If it's not as accurate, then you guys probably haven't seen it. As a matter of fact, I'm staring right now in my shop. I've got a big bucket, and I call it my body farm because it's just filled with with heads and arms and legs, and I could see just many metal detector coils that just didn't meet my standard, and so I would just throw it in there. But yeah, I got a big bucket called Body Farm, and so so that's it. So that's where we're at right now. The question you asked me about the little miniature metal detectors, which is probably the hottest item that I make that people like, because it's personal. People have they could have an AT Pro, or they could have a Safari. And, we're all big kids, no matter how old we are, we're big kids, and we want to have, something that looks just like the one we actually use, and we want to have it on our desk, and we won't be able to play with it, and we won't be able to show people. And, so that's that.
And Gordon Matheson is in the chat, and he said, that you even put the little red mole on his face. Now that is detail right there. And I didn't have a clue that you were stalking people, and looking at how they walk and everything. We do that here. Yep. We'd get arrested, wouldn't we, Jeff?
Pretty much. But I mean, he's doing it for a good reason. Yeah, so, what are they made out of? Are they made out of plastic, or is they molded, or do you carve them out of wood, or what?
Are we talking about the little characters, the little buddies?
The little buddies, or the metal detectors.
Okay. Well, when I first started with the dioramas, I was doing everything by hand. That was the first product that I was making, was the dioramas, and I would either go online and I'd buy HO scale figures, and I would manipulate them with a heat gun, and I'd paint them and put little detectors in your hands and so forth and so on. Or there's here in Orlando, there is a model train store, and I'd go down there and I'd buy something. But that can be expensive, and it can be time consuming. And like I said, they're very labor intensive to make, and they can take weeks to do. So what I did is I bought my very first 3D printer, and that was a game changer.
Oh, okay.
And so from there, I would, like with the coils, I used to make the coils by hand, which is wire. But now I'm able to actually, capture the image on the coil. I'm able to make it look exactly like there's an Amphibio that I just completed just recently. It's got a very intricate coil, and that would be very difficult to do with wire. But now I'm able to actually capture it. I can size it exactly to scale. Like it's a 11 by 9 inch coil or 11 by 12 inch coil, and I can actually bring it down to scale. And then once I have it, I can print it out as many times as I want. Uh-huh. So what I use is I have two 3D printers. I just bought a second one recently that also does ABS, because what I use normally is a filament called PLA, and it stands for polylactic acid, and it's actually an organic material. And if you know how a 3D printer works, it's got a roll of the filament that feeds into the machine, and it just does layers. It layers upon layers until it completes it. But with the PLA, it's actually, the one I use is it's a plastic, but it's got wood fibers and very microscopic pieces of wood in it, and it's actually wood colored. And when it actually prints, it makes my shop actually smell like a wood shop, because it's actually got actual wood in it. And with that wood, now that I print it out, I'm able to sand it, I'm able to shape it, I'm able to use a heat gun and to manipulate if I have to. But yeah, so I use that wood-based PLA filament, which I really, really like using it because it does detail really well. But it's very delicate. And so I bought a new machine, and the machine, this is a dual filament machine. I can actually use ABS plastic on some of the, something I need to have more strength to it. Mm-hmm. But that's just part of what I make. I'll do I'm doing the coils and the handles and sometimes the armrest, but everything else is is, it's a trade secret. Like with the shafts, what I make the shafts out of, and the shafts, and you'd be surprised at some of the things I'm using. But I can, once I put the shaft, I take the shaft and I put the coil on it, and I put the handle on it, and I put the head control unit on it, I put the armrest on it, and the ground stand, and I'll use wire it up, and then from there, it's just all hand painting. Everything is hand painted. And, and then once it's done, I'll sit back and I'll look over the photos again, and then I'll start getting in on the details. And I'll start to, really, really fine tune them and make them look really, really super sharp. I try to get all the labels, whether it's a coil label or my lab, has a logo on the armrest. I'll paint that, the little ML on, it looks like a V and an L, but I'll paint everything on. Yeah, so that's what I do.
That is absolutely amazing. I tell you what, and most of you don't know, but we were talking to Gary before the show, and Gary said, well, I'm not really a talker. But I tell you, we asked, we asked
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we asked 2 questions, and we're already up to a commercial break. So let us run this commercial, and we will be right back.
We's looking good in our new Relics Radio T-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of DetectiveTees.com done brung 'em to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. DetectiveTees.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectivetees.com.
And I've got something that I need to add to the Detectives commercial. I talked to Ken Guthrie this afternoon, and Ken said that if you order a Detective shirt for someone for Christmas, and you want that to be a Christmas gift, and you want a card sent along with the shirt, all you have to do is let them know in the notes or the message, and they will send you a card. And by the way, any new caller that we have during the show tonight, we're going to put you in the running for a Detective shirt. But there's another giveaway that we're going to have, and it just so happens that my good luck charm, Mr. Mark Hoover, has called in. What's the coincidence of that? What's going on, Mark?
What a coincidence.
I know it.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Hey, Bud, how's it going?
Going great, and it's good to hear you tonight. And yes, Gary can definitely talk and tell you everything that he does, and it's just, I don't have to tell you guys what he does. It's just absolutely incredible.
It really is, Mark. And I was going to ask him, I was waiting to see, like, I've seen the little mini detectors just on line and stuff, and it looks like you could actually turn them on and use them. And I was wondering when he was going to start making them where you could use them. So,
well, don't be surprised. And Gary, you can, I don't know if you want to, how much you want to share with him with some of your ideas, but don't be surprised if you see that in the future. But Gary, before they go any further, what I want to tell you is if they ask you to pick a number tonight, pick number 7. All right? Just pick number 7.
All right. You got it, buddy.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that because I'll get in trouble because I picked number 7 before they even started the show.
Oh, that's funny.
That ain't gonna work, Mark. It ain't gonna work, and you ain't gonna get a Detective shirt either because Mark calls in, and we appreciate Mark, and I knew that Mark was a good buddy and associated with Gary. He actually got Gary on the show for us. Mark is our agent. He's our booking agent, and involved with other things with Relics Radio and me and Jeff, and we just appreciate him so much.
We sure do. We couldn't do it without him. I mean, he's a big part of the team, and I mean, I'm very glad to have him aboard.
I am too.
Well, thanks for that. I was just wondering if I could call in and just share a couple of quick stories about Gary, and then I'll let other people call in because I know you want to have other callers. But the first time I met Gary was at one of our club meetings, and I'm as an officer, I sit at one of the front tables, and we do giveaways at the end of the night. And I noticed that somebody had put this miniature Garrett AT Pro into the giveaways. And that was my first detector. And I'm thinking, holy cow, I really want that. But, you know, it's hard to get them because they do, you know, to give everybody a ticket, and they have to pull your ticket, and then you get to pick what you want. Well, believe it or not, when they pulled the tickets, and by the way, my granddaughter, Sophia, is the youngest member of the club. When they pulled the tickets, they pulled her ticket. And when she came up without me saying anything, because she has a collection of dolls, she saw that little detector, and she said, I'm going to pick that detector for my dolls. And she picked Gary's Garrett AT Pro. And so as soon as we got home, I took it and put it in the display case. So that's Sophia's little miniature detector that Gary got. And that just really intrigued me about the work that he does. And Gary and I have gotten to know each other, and we're working together on some things. And obviously, you know, people have a tremendous amount of appreciation for what Gary does with the miniatures, but, you know, he's also an amazing detectorist. We've hunted a couple of times before, and he goes out with the New Age Goonies team, and I'm sure he'll share more about that, but we've hunted a little bit, and he's made some incredible finds, and so he's not only good with these miniatures, but he's also just a lot of fun to hunt with and go out detecting with. So he knows the hobby really well, and he knows these machines, and he knows how to look at them and recreate them as a miniature. So really excited about being able to be associated with Gary and his work and represent him and you know, and share his story with everybody, because I just think he does a great job, and I'm just absolutely delighted to be able to be a part of that.
And if anybody saw my video this week, it was the Mark Hoover effect. Every time Mark called me over the past 2 weeks, I had just found something great. He called in on the show, and we were fixing to announce this, that Gary is going to give away to some lucky listener here tonight that is in the chat. You got to be in the chat, and you're going to have to pick a number after a while. Don't start putting numbers in yet. We'll do that a little bit later in the show. But he's going to give you one of the little mini detectors of your choice. If you use an AT Pro, he's going to make you an AT Pro or whatever you use. So, Mark, the effect is still working.
Mark, call me this coming week.
I'll call you, Jeff.
All right.
I'm almost afraid to, but Jeff, you want to ask Gary another question?
Well, since we were talking, Mark was talking about he makes some great finds. What are some of your favorite finds?
Well, I have several, and believe it or not, I think one of them has pretty much just vaulted to the front of the line just as of last 48 hours. I was out detecting with one of my buddies, my buddy Doug, and we were in an old lot, just an old lot that, you know, houses used to be on. And we had been over it many times, and over by one of the trees, I got a big target and stuck my shovel down there and realized there was a metal plate. And so I just kept going. It was maybe 3 or 4 inches below the surface, and I kept trying to find the edges. So finally I did, and it was probably a good 18-inch square plate, metal plate. And so I managed to pry up the plate, got all the dirt off of it, and there was a plastic underneath that looked like an old school lunch tray. It was like a plastic tray, and that was cracked. So I pulled all the pieces out of there, and then I realized that it was basically there was a hole down there. And so I called my buddy Doug, and the first thing I pulled out was a woman's purse from like the 60s, this old white purse. And that's when Doug fired up his GoPro, and we started going through, and nothing in the purse. And then we started pulling other things out of the hole. And one of the things I pulled out was a camera. And it was like a green camera, like a box camera. And you can see it on my Facebook page. And I also created a video for it. And it was an old box camera from like 50s or 60s. And we were like, wow, does this have film in it and so forth? And what is it doing in the ground? So we got the box camera out. Then we found other things, like it was everything we found was in amazing condition. Was like an old toy telephone. So anyway, back to the camera. Wow. I took it home, cleaned it up really good. Took it in the bathroom with the lights off, and opened it up with a red light, and realized there was nothing inside of it except just dirt. So anyway, I cleaned it up and I restored it, and it's in my display case now, and that is my number one find right now. It's beautiful. I love it.
I saw that find.
I did. I seen that video, and it was an amazing job how you cleaned that camera up. I mean, and you found the sticker and everything to go on it. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I know one of your somebody had a question, I think, that I saw, and it was about finding everyday objects to use. And the camera is a good starter on that question, because it didn't have a lens, and so there was just a big hole in the front. So what I did is I started thinking what would look like a lens, and actually went in my display case. And I love doing this. I love actually using items from my finds display case or from my scrounge and actually incorporating into my dioramas. And I do it quite often. Anyway, I went in my display case, and I have a collection of glass marbles, and I found an old clear glass marble, and I just inserted it into the hole, and it fit perfectly. And so the lens that you see on the camera is actually a glass marble that I found a while back.
Oh, man.
That is great.
It is. I seen it, and, it was an amazing find, but it was even more spectacular with the restoration of it, And, that you are a craftsman. You are an artist. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And Ken Guthrie asked that question, about using everyday items in a project.
Right.
But he also asked another question, and, he asked about how you got started. We've already covered that. But he wanted to know, did you start with Revell model kits whenever you were a kid? Did you do any of those?
Actually, very close, and I know exactly what he's talking about. But Revell was there was many of them, but I do remember that there were these models, and I think they were Disney related, and like there was Pirates of the Caribbean, and I remember building that, and then also Monoprice. They had some models, and I remember one was it was almost like a little diorama. It had a giant tarantula terrorizing the city. But I do remember building that. So the answer to this question is yes. I'm sure they didn't look anything. They probably weren't even painted, to be honest with you. They were probably just glued together, and they were just all gray. But as a kid, I do remember doing those. So yeah, the answer to this question is I did do models as a kid.
I did a few of those whenever I was little. Everybody back in the day wanted the 57 Chevrolet, and everybody wanted the 32 Ford Coupe, and I did both of those, and it was easy for me to do it because all I had to do was go out in the yard, and they were two of those were up on blocks in our yard, so I knew what they were supposed to look like. So
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What other questions did we have, Jeff, that came in?
Well, I was going to ask you, since we're with Ken, is the Falcons, are they going to make the playoffs?
Oh, my Falcons. I live in Florida, and I'm probably, me and, my son Sam and the rest of my family, we're probably the only Falcon fans that I know. We, and people ask me, why are you a Falcons fan? Well, the thing is, I was in the military. I was in the Air Force for 23 years. I met my wife in the Air Force. She retired from the Air Force as well. We're both retired. I retired military, and she was in the Air Force for 26 years. So, how I became a Falcons fan is that we were actually stationed at a base in Georgia for a very long period of time, about 12 years. 3 of my boys were born in Georgia, and then we just naturally became Falcons fans. So we love the Falcons. We bleed black and red, and we did it, in the 2016 Super Bowl, of course. This year, I just don't know. This game coming up with the Cowboys is going to be the make or break this coming weekend. If they lose to the Cowboys, they're done. But if they can beat the Cowboys, then it's a possibility.
It is a possibility. It is. And we've got another question. Missouri Mike, he was wondering about the van in the picture. Is that just your detecting van, or is that your work van? And is there a clean area to work in?
Yes, it is a detecting van. It's strictly for detecting. My wife gave me free reign, several months to go out and buy whatever I want. So I bought that Ford Transit Connect, and I just started building on it. I put a bench in there where I can put all my gear underneath the bench. There's a big old cabinet in there for putting in whatever I need, batteries and so forth. And it's got a pegboard, and I hang my headset and stuff on there. But I do have a water supply with a garden hose, and we do, when I go out with the New Age Goonies, we do our cleaning, and everybody uses uses the water from the garden hose, and we got brushes and so forth and so on. So yeah, it is it's fully functional. It's not for work. It's strictly for metal detecting.
Yeah, the bed of my truck is about the same way. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Hey, we have got Chris Cook live listening tonight from Australia, and he's asking about the international code, and I don't know on that, Chris. I guess that you would just have to go with 1-270-495-0315. And by the way, guys, we've opened up the phone lines, and we'd like to have some new callers. We'd like to have maybe some of the New Age Goonies or somebody else that hasn't called into the show. And one of you is going to win a Relics Radio T-shirt tonight. Ain't that right, Jeff?
That's right. You've got to be a first-time caller, and then we'll keep track, and we'll have a number set up, and whoever gets the number will win it. So,
hey, Gary, talk about the New Age Goonies.
Okay. New Age Goonies, are an eclectic group of guys and girls from Florida. It's based in the Orlando area of Florida. The founder is Dwight Cologne. And pretty much the way it works, it's a club, but everybody is a member. All you got to do is say, I want to be a member of the New Age Goonies, and you are. And we invite people from all over the area, whether outside the States or recently had some people from Tampa. But we actually bring people up into the Orlando area, and we show them a good time. We take them out to some sites, let them do some metal detecting. We give them lunch, and we give them T-shirts and give them hats. And it's just an amazing group of guys led by an amazing individual. Dwight Cologne is one of the most energetic and genuine people I've ever met. And the first time I met him, I actually saw his videos online. It was, maybe 9 or 10 months ago, and I wrote him and I said, I'd like to metal tech with you sometime. But he gets requests like that all the time. So he really kind of didn't respond too much because he's just so busy. So anyway, I knew I had to get his attention, and I knew I had the ability to do it. So what I did is I actually created a little character of him. I gave him, Dwight's got a very unique way he stands. He was using a Forged Relic at the time, and he has this gravedigger shovel. And so I made a spot-on recreation of him, dumped it on Facebook, and long story short, we're very good friends now. We hunt almost on a, not daily, but several times, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And, great group of guys. We got Gordon Madison, which of course there's Billy Keene, who's another core member. He's down in Tampa. We call him Big Billy. He's probably about 7.5 feet tall, weighs about 350 pounds, and is the kindest, most gentle individual I've ever met. I just love him. And then, we got some of the other members, Thomas Walsh, and we've got, some of the newer guys that are coming on board, like Doug Prock and Brian Comer. And so, yeah, like I said, it's just a great group of guys in Florida. And if anybody wants to detect the New Age Goonies, and you're going to come into Disney and go on vacation, you want to go out, just drop Dwight a line, let him know, and we will show you guys a good time.
Well, that sounds great. We may hook that up. Seb.
Yeah. Especially if we're ever down there in Florida. I tell you what, y'all got a lot of great guys down there. I mean, there's no in the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. There's nothing but celebrities down there. Mark Hoover and all you guys. That's got to be an exciting club to be in. Hey guys, we're coming up on another break here, and we need to run a commercial. Hey, some of you New Age Goonies, call in while we're on this break right here, and talk to your buddy Gary. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for Mine Lab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on one of the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim's your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any question that you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him that Relics Radio sent you. And the phone lines are now open. The international code would be 1-270-495-0315. We'd like to have a brand new caller to the show. Hey, Gary, there was another question that was asked. How do you guys select your sites to hunt, and are there any tips that you would give anyone?
Well, I'm a big fan of here in Orlando. We have in Orange County, we got the Orange County Park System, and on the west side of the county, it's a lot of really old property that's been deeded over to the county, and we pull amazing things out of just our parks. But Dwight, the founder of the New Age Goonies, is a bloodhound when it comes to permissions, and he is not afraid to talk to anybody, and he is incredibly charming, and anybody and everybody who comes within his path, he sees it as an opportunity. And so we'll be out, and we'll be out of permission, and he'll literally get 2 more permissions while he's there. And so he finds this property, whether it's down in St. Cloud or Kissimmee or Orlando, he finds these properties that have never been searched, and they are very old pieces of property. And so he just will knock on a door, and I'll go with him, and I won't say anything, but I'll be mesmerized at just how charming he can be. And 99% of the time, he will get a yes.
Man, that's great.
He is. I've watched some of his live Facebook stuff, and he's just the kind of guy that when you just see him talk, he just draws you in, doesn't he? I mean, he's got that kind of personality.
Yeah. And it's genuine. I can tell you that it's genuine. There's nothing phony. Dwight's in his low 30s, maybe his mid 30s. I can't remember exactly how old he is, but sometimes I feel like he's my 15-year-old hunting partner, because he's just he's a big kid at heart, and his enthusiasm is very it's addicting. We all love being around him, and he can just brighten up a day, and he's an amazing detectorist. He has buckets of things that one of these days, I keep trying to get him to get a display case and start hauling these things out of his garage. But he's an amazing detectorist too.
I was looking through the chat here. Gordon Matheson had a question for me. He said, back in the day, I used to read my stuff on TreasureNet, but he said, I know that there were others that I wrote in. You're right, Gordon. I was most of the time on Friendly Metal Detecting, but I did a little bit of stuff on TreasureNet until I started videos, and I kind of got off the forums. And the reason that I did was because I found a lot of colonial-type relics, and it just seemed like that those people on the forums really wasn't all that interested in that. And Angie's picking on me as well, way on back in the chat. She said back when 7 wore knickers. That's what they do to me, Gary. They call me the old man. They say that I found the Civil War bullets because I watched the soldiers from behind the tree as they dropped them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
he said he waited till the battle was over before he started relic hunting.
Very good.
I did. And guys that are in the chat, hang in there, because after the top of the hour, we're going to let you guys pick a number, and Gary is going to give away one of his mini metal detectors of your choice. Whatever you're swinging, Gary's going to make it. And I guarantee you, if you haven't seen some of his work, you need to go to mydetecting.com, his website, and you can do that on a separate window, or you can do that after the show. You're going to be amazed at his work. I mean, it is absolutely amazing.
It really is. And Gary, we've got a question, and Ed Travis. How old are the items you've been digging?
I would say, well, just about a week and a half ago, digging with Dwight, and I found a spoon. And my eyesight's not that great, and it was pretty dirty. But I saw, a picture of an individual on the handle, but it was bent up, so I just threw it in my van in one of the. I keep a wire basket and just throw my junk in there. Anyway, Dwight has a habit of rummaging through it, and not only is he's a good detector, but he recognized a lot of things because he has so much experience. So he pulled it out. He pulled it out of basically the trash, and he started looking at it. He started cleaning it. And he started hopping around, and I was like, "What is going on?" He goes, "Brother," "You didn't take a good look at this." And I was like, "Well, I couldn't really see it that good." He goes, "There's a date on it, and the date is 1892. I think that's what it was, 1892. And what it was, it's from the 1892-93 Chicago World's Fair. It actually has a picture of some buildings, and that was Christopher Columbus, because it was 1492 to 1892 was a 100-year anniversary at that time. So he pulled this thing out of my trash and said, "You realize you just found an 1892 spoon from the Chicago World's Fair," and I didn't have a clue. And it's probably one of the oldest things I found in a while. But to answer the question, a lot of it from around the Kissimmee area and the Orlando area is Depression era, 20s and 30s and so forth.
Yeah, and Aggie had a question on here. Do you detect anywhere besides Florida, and if so, where?
When my wife was still on active duty, I actually started detecting in Texas. So I detected in Texas for a while, and then we moved to Florida once we both retired. And so, no, I've never detected anywhere else. I'd like to. I am going to the Garrett Memorial Hunt in March up in Jefferson, Texas. I will be there, and if any of your viewers are going, I'm bringing some nice things with me, and so they will get a chance to look at them and maybe get a chance to say hi to me. I'd love that. But that'll be one of my first trips, actually outside of Florida.
Yeah, and
up in Jefferson.
I seen the thing you made with the airplane pulling the the billboard behind it, so that was pretty neat. And she also asked if there's any, if you could detect anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. If I could detect any, I would say, I've always, I was in the Air Force and I traveled quite a bit. I've been to many countries. I wasn't a detectorist at the time. But if I could go back to any of those countries that I went to, I would say probably either Spain or England. I would say one of those two places.
Man, that
Yeah,
would be great.
I'd love to go to England, and because you're talking about old history there, not as old as Mesopotamia. I'd love to go to Mesopotamia, but
Right.
a man might not get back from there. I don't know, but I'd love to go to England and do some detecting there and get into some of that old stuff. Hey Gary,
Yeah,
what is one thing that you think that you probably ought to have found that you haven't found yet?
Oh, good question. Well, everybody's at the top of everybody's bucket list is that gold coin. I haven't found one yet. There's been many locations that we've been to where, we're finding everything else. Just like you said, in England they're finding, very old coins from the 1600s and the 1500s. And we're jumping around. We find a 36 Mercury. But I would say, gold. I would definitely want to find a gold coin, and I think it's just a matter of time because some of the places that we dig at, are unsearched, and they were inhabited when people were carrying around gold coins. Just recently, my friend Dwight and a couple other guys, we found a brick road tear out in one of the towns below Orlando, and we were able to search this brick road that was being torn out for the first and being seen for the first time since turn of the century, and we were doing V-nickel surface finds. It was amazing, but just no gold.
Wow, that'd be a surface finds with V-nickels, man. Could you imagine?
Yes.
7?
I know it. Hey, we had a call that came in 3746, and then that call dropped out. I'm trying to add you back in.
Call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Oh.
3746.
746 is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
I'm sorry
When
about
What was
that.
the area code on it?
You may hang up or press 1 for more options.
I can't. Well, I can end that call with that person by doing that. Sorry about that. I don't know if that was somebody calling in the show or one of the robocalls or something other.
Gary, is there anyone else in your household that enjoys the hobby with you?
No, actually, there's not. Well, my daughter. I have, I've got 4 boys living in the house, and I've got a young daughter, and she's 13, and she used to metal detect with me. The other boys, I couldn't pay them to go metal detecting. But my daughter, I would say, she's more interested in anybody else. The way we used to do it, we were in Texas, is we'd go together, and I think she was 10 at the time, and I'd give her a belt and her pinpointer and a little shovel. And what I would do is we'd walk around the playground, and I would find a target, and I'd stick a golf tee in the spot, and I'd say right there, and she would dig her little hole, and she'd find it, and then she'd put it in her pouch, and we would move on. But she's 13 now. Things change, and
They do. They really do.
Yeah, they do.
That's a pretty neat story. Of course, I've got a 15-month-old, as everyone knows, and then I plan on trying to do something like that with him. And I remember just pushing him around in his baby stroller out around this old house, and then we found our first Civil War bullet together. And my stepson, I would take him, and he's 14 now, and he went a couple of times, and then if it doesn't have a video controller to it, then he's not interested really. So.
Hey, guys, we do have another call on now. 9680 are the last 4 numbers. Who we got?
Well, you have John from New York, and I just had a couple of questions, and then for Gary, and then in general. I had a cousin lived in New Hampshire, and he used to tell me that the brick walls, the rock walls that they built up there that would delineate between properties, that he would often find coins at the base of these rock walls. And he never knew why that was the case, but he believed that it was some sort of a ancient or a 100-year-old thing that they would do when they would complete the wall. They'd throw some coins over it to wish good luck to the neighbor or to themselves. And I was wondering if Gary knew anything about that.
Hey, John. Hi. Thanks for the question. I'm from New York also, from the east end of Long Island. And, I spent many years in upstate New York at 2 Air Force bases that used to be up there. But and I know the walls you're talking about. I mean, they're amazing constructions that were done, 100 years ago, and you can barely stick a twig in the cracks in these walls. But as far as the coins are concerned, no, I've never heard that, and then I've never had a chance to find any. But people have kind of strange habits. Some of the things we find down here can be kind of strange, like some kid burying his toys underneath a steel plate in a lot. It's just very strange.
That's true. Do you have another question, John?
Well, yes, I do, and I heard it peripherally. There's a diorama that was found in the Hampton Bays about an old tower there. And I don't know any of the specifics regarding it, but I know Gary was contacted with regards to it, and I wonder if he could tell me a little bit about that. It was the Hampton Bays Historic Society.
John, it's a great question. It really is, and yes. There's a woman who is president of the Hampton Bays Historical Society. That's a town that's on the east end of Long Island in the Southern Fork. It's right off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean and the Peconic Bay. Anyway, what John's talking about is that they found a diorama that is in really bad condition, but it shows an old lighthouse and an old innkeeper's house. And it appears to be the town that I actually grew up in. So there's a woman who's now the president. Her name is Brenda Sinclair, and she contacted me after seeing some of the work on Facebook, and so she's formally asked me if I'd be willing to undertake a restoration on this amazing diorama that's it's in very poor shape. So we're actually, and I've agreed to do it, as a gift from me to my hometown, Hampton Bays. And so, yeah, we're in discussions about getting this diorama down to Florida, and just seeing if we can get it back in shape and put it on display where it belongs in the town museum. Great question.
Gary, did she happen to tell you where it was found, and does she know any of the history behind the diorama?
I'm sure she does, but we didn't really get into that. We just, been typing back and forth on Facebook, and the only thing I have is one picture to go by, and from what I see, it looks like it's going to need quite a bit of work. But no, to answer your question, I don't know any of the details yet. But I do plan on finding out, because that's one of the things that I really enjoy is doing a write-up on the things that I either restore or I build. And so that's going to be hopefully the details worked out, and maybe you guys will see it someday.
Yeah, I would. I'm eager to see it and learn about it. That lighthouse, as you know, is long gone, and
yes,
it's been replaced by, it's a Coast Guard station now. It's been replaced by an automated beacon. But there are pictures in town of that lighthouse coming down, where they set charges and actually brought it down because it had caught fire. The timbers on the inside had caught fire, and it was structurally unsound, and they decided that the best thing they could do, rather than, they couldn't afford to rebuild it, so the best thing they could do was bring it down. And it's a shame, because I think it was commissioned by George Washington originally. Yeah. And
true.
I'd be interested in seeing that diorama and hearing how it came to them.
Yes, that's true. I believe that if you were to go on my Facebook page, you'll see a lot of things we've talked about tonight. You'll see the picture of the diorama that I made for my sister, the camera that I restored, and I believe there is that picture that you're referring to. It's just one picture of there it is, the diorama, and it does show the lighthouse and the innkeeper's house, and there's a ship offshore. I don't know if it's sinking or it's just passing through the inlet or what it's doing, but and so it'll be a challenge, that's for sure, but I'm pretty sure I can handle it.
I'm sure you can too. I'm eager to see the finished product, the before and after.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Gary.
All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys. Love your show.
Yeah, great questions, John.
Hey, thanks for calling in, John. Yes, very great questions. And I tried to get Gordon to call in, but he said he's in the middle of writing a paper. But he did have a question, or he had a comment, or a question, I guess, that he wanted us to ask you. He said that you're big into geocaching, so wanted to ask you about that and get you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, what he's referring to is, I don't, if everybody knows what geocaching is, but it basically is like treasure hunting, and it's got GPS aspects in it. And there's a website, geocaching.com, where they would put out the coordinates, and then you go try to find these coordinates, and there's usually a container there. And anyway, I started that in Japan. We were living in Okinawa at the time, and I started taking up geocaching, and I went to some amazing places in Japan. I was able to climb Mount Fuji. I was able to go on some of the beaches that the American troops came ashore, and the tunnel systems and so forth and so on. And Okinawa is just an amazing place where you could just be, you could be just walking in the woods, and you'll find a tunnel, and there's actually remains in these tunnels and so forth and so on. So anyway, I did geocaching, and what Gord's referring to is he actually approached me about, creating another arm of the New Age Goonies, which would be New Age Goonie geocaching. And so what we would do is I would help him create these geocaches, and we would just start doing that, and the individuals, would be able to enjoy that here in the States.
We've got a caller that has come in and dropped out and called again, 3746. And by the way, callers, if we're in the middle of a conversation here, we can't respond to you until we finish that conversation. But who we got, 3746?
Well, my name is Debbie, and I'm Gary's sister from Long Island, New York. And I just wanted to say that I'm enjoying the show immensely, and I'm very proud of my brother and all the work that he's doing.
I can imagine that you are. Go ahead and respond to that, Gary.
Well, my sister, all my brothers and sisters are special, but, me and my sister Debbie, we have a very unique bond growing up together. And she's 5 years younger than me, but everything you see on my website and everything we've talked about, I owe a lot to my sister Debbie, because, I did that first diorama for her. And then I just, I was like, okay, done, move on to something else. But, what she told me is that I needed to stick with it and just keep developing and get better. And so I took her advice, and I did. And so I've actually created a few things for her specifically because, she's just special to me. But that Christmas diorama was definitely the first start.
And Debbie, you were right. He does have a gift, and it is amazing. It really is.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Let me ask you a question, Debbie. When y'all were children, was Gary that creative whenever y'all were young?
Oh, he was very creative. He built many a fort that we would hang out in, and teepees, and he was very creative. And we had a good childhood, which brought us very close, and he's carried that with him his whole life.
Yeah, Deb and I, we go on trips together. Like before her birthday was coming up in July, and I called her up and said, "Hey, do you have a passport?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, get one." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because we're going to go to Mexico." And so we did. She got her passport, and I was able to actually do some metal detecting in Mexico, which did not go well. But so almost everywhere that I've ever gone, whether I was in the Air Force, I'd bring her. She went to Okinawa with me. We've been to Las Vegas together. Many trips that we've done together. We've traveled together quite a bit, and I appreciate her very much.
Yeah, and I you, Gary. Very proud.
Thank you. Okay, go to bed now.
Yeah, there goes the big brother coming out right there.
Yeah. Well, they got snow, like you mentioned. They got snow today, and she works in a school. She's working in a school, so I know she's going to have to get up early and go to the school in the morning.
Well, maybe they'll close school tomorrow. Hey, Debbie, my wife, it's her birthday on the 17th, and our daughters, for her birthday present, they left this morning, flew out of Nashville, and took her to New York City. She's never been there, and
no kidding.
Yeah, so y'all are close. Y'all could probably look one another up. It's a small world, isn't it?
Not in New York City, it's not.
And she's got some snow tonight. I hope she's got boots.
She did. I tell you what, I don't know how she got on the plane, because she took everything out of the closet and out of her drawers and all of her shoes and put it in one suitcase, and I stood on it while she zipped it up. I hate to be there when she opened the thing.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I hope she has a great trip.
Hey, Debbie, thanks for the call. And by the way, you are in the running. There's 2 brand new callers. You're in the running to get a Relics Radio T-shirt. So good luck on that.
Thanks.
Thank you
Fantastic.
very much.
And we're going to let Ken Guthrie of DetectTees.com, our shirt company, we're going to let him make the decision after the show. He can look down through. John was number 1, Debbie's number 2, Ken, so you can kind of keep up with those and do a random number draw or whatever you want to do, and then we'll give that out. So, but great call. Appreciate you calling in, and it shows the support that you have for Gary, and we love the family aspect on this show as well. So you've contributed to that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Gary,
Love you, brother.
All right, bye, sister. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's great. Oh, how Relic Hunter, he was asking, had you ever thought about making bobbleheads?
Why would he ask that? Because my sister and I just spoke about it. Okay, it's a family show, but what I can tell you is that I did make something. My sister is very unique. She likes weird things. For example, she spent the night, and I believe it was Halloween, at the Lizzie Borden house in Massachusetts. You know, Lizzie Borden, of course, you know the whole story about that. So she loves that kind of thing. She loves things that are creepy, things that are kind of eerie, things that are kind of eclectic. Well, that said, I did make her. I got a set of bobbleheads, and they were JFK and Jackie Kennedy, and she had the pink dress on, and he had the blue suit on, and so I'm just going to say that I kind of like took some. An artistic license, and I kind of modified them, and I sent them to her, and she freaked out. She says these are just absolutely just stunning, amazing, and it's not the kind of thing you want to put out, for people to see around Christmas time, but she has a collection of that kind of, she has a collection of that kind of stuff, so I know she really liked it. Like I said, she's kind of weird that way.
Did you do any of the recreations of the Lizzie Borden thing with the axe and all that?
No, I have not. And I made a few things. I'm in my shop right now, and I can look around at some of the things that I made. There's a bunch of dioramas in here and so forth, and I did make I have just a lot of different things. Like I worked with acrylics for a while, and I made this underwater cave that shows 2 divers, and I made the cave out of cedar, and it's got the little stalagmites and so forth and so on. And I get 2 divers that are swimming into the cave, and they're each holding metal detectors, and waiting inside the cave is a shark, and so it's a flat type of diorama. So you put it up against your window, and you can see through. So I make that all kinds of stuff besides what you guys see, on my Facebook, on my website, which I kind of try to keep it metal detecting related, but I do a lot of that things too.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's a scary thought to me to think about having Bill Marsh as a bobblehead. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Hey, I had to.
Ohio Relic Hunter said that's not the reaction I was expecting from the bobbleheads, but I guess that'll work.
Yeah.
That was great.
Hey, I had to throw that one back at you there, Bill, because you ribbed me so much. Hey, guys, we're coming up on another hard break. The phone lines are still open, 270-495-0315. Got two people in the running for a Relics Radio shirt, but you can have one. And after this call, sometime after this call, we're going to give away one of those miniature metal detectors.
And I would.
If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And by the way, while we're running that plug on American Digger magazine, I've got an article coming out with Jeff Ford, Wes Stringer, and Chris Heimsoff on the Great Silver Horde. And we've got another caller in, looks like 7973. Who we got on the line?
My name is Bill Keene. My good friend of Gary's part of the NAG organization.
Hey,
What's up, Big Billy?
Good to have you on, Billy.
What's up, Gary?
Hey, buddy.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to call in and just tell everybody that, listen, I met Gary about a year ago, and the man's got talent just oozing out of him. I mean, he's first and foremost, he's one heck of a guy. He's a lot of fun to metal detect with. Like he was talking about with Dwight, same thing. Dwight's a very infectious person. You can't help but enjoy yourself when you're metal detecting with him and with Gary. So I just wanted to chime in and let you all know what kind of people they are. They're good, solid individuals, that's for sure.
No.
I remember the morning when we were metal detecting, and before we got started, I walked up to Billy with my hand behind my back, and Dwight grabbed his camera and turned it on because he knew it was coming. And I said, "Hey, man, and I really enjoy your friendship, and I really appreciate what you do." And so, from behind my back, I pulled out, a little miniature Billy, and Billy's not miniature at all. He's a big boy, and so I can almost see him. He was speechless because it looks just like him, and it had his AT Pro. And his shovel and so forth and so on. So Billy is one of the, he's very special to me, and he's one of the recipients, of one of the little figures that I do. So anyway, thank you, Billy.
Yeah, anytime. Listen, for you guys to know too, not only am I the recipient of that, but I also have my newest metal detector is an Equinox 800. He's made me one of those. He's made me an AT Pro. And the great thing about the AT Pro, he actually used a pull tab for the coil, which I thought was really cool.
There you go, Mark Hoover.
And I just thought it was a really nice touch when I saw that thing. I'm like, look at that. How cool is that? And then we had a beach hunt with the WSAS, is another group I belong to in Tampa. And Phil Myers and them, who owns a metal detecting shop down here in Tampa. And we had a little get-together out there, a little beach hunt. And as things would have it, I found a token that Gary had made with a mercury dime in it. Now, I had a conversation with Gary that I really didn't think it'd be a good idea if I found it, because what came along with it was a lot bigger metal detector. I would say it's roughly about a foot long. And I said to Gary, and Gary says, "You know what? You have every right to win it." Well, son of a gun if I didn't win it. And they're all that stuff. And the dioramas Gary talks about, he was very generous and gave me one for my last birthday. And all that stuff is in my display case, top shelf. Just, it's got its own, basically a whole shelf to itself. And it's just amazing stuff.
Thank you. And what he's referring to is if you go on my website, minddetecting.com, and you go up under the diorama tabs, there's one called Permission, and it's one of the first ones I did. And it shows, depicts 4 detectorists on the grounds of an abandoned, kind of an abandoned home. And there's a windmill, and so forth and so on. And I just, I really thought Billy would appreciate that. And so I gave it to him for his birthday. And again, Billy's about 7.5 feet tall, but he just I can see him choking up, and that's what it's all about for me. Metal detecting is really important to me. Without going into much detail, what I can tell you is metal detecting, it genuinely saved my life. It did. I can just tell you that we had a family tragedy, and I was desperately looking for something to use as a form of an outlet and some therapy. And so metal detecting is very important to me. And so everything that I do, and the things that I make and the things that I do, I give 99% of it away. I don't sell really any of my stuff. So I give most of it away, whether the people know it's coming or not. Even the ones that I ambush on Facebook, I drop them in the mail and I send it to them. And I just want to give something back to the hobby that helped me through some very difficult times in my life. Anyway, that's that.
And
I would like to, if you get,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Billy.
I was just going to say it's funny when it comes to people like Gary and also Dwight. My daughter was going to college in Orlando, and I happened upon Dwight. I was out metal detecting a local park. He walks up. We start talking. Stood out by the truck for 2 hours just talking about metal detecting. And that relationship turned into other things. And then how I met Gary actually was I was actually behind them at a Central Florida metal detecting yearly hunt thing. And I went there to support, Dwight Cohen and New Age Goonies, and I was at work in the tent with them and all that. And we got in the chow line, and there's Gary and Doug's wife, Deb, talking. And I overheard them say something, and, curiosity got me, and I just said, "Excuse me, did I hear you correctly? You're finding silver coins on the beach." And they told me the story and everything else. And then, because I was kind of stunned by it, because, we're talking, 50s, 60s coins. We're not talking way, way back. And so as we're going through the food line, they invited me to sit down and have lunch with them. And so I did. And quite a good friendship has blossomed from that day. And I'm very thankful that I have met Gary. Gary is open when I come into Orlando. Sometimes when I come solo and the wife decides that she doesn't want to go, Gary has opened his house to me. He has a wonderful wife and just a beautiful family. And they're all just really, really solid, smart human beings. And I'm very thankful that I've gotten to know Gary.
Thank you, Billy.
So, yes, sir.
Sorry.
Great call, Billy.
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button.
That's okay. That's all right. It's okay.
Yeah. Hey, great call, Billy. And I can tell.
Right.
I can tell you can feel the friendship that you two guys have together right there. And that's what makes this hobby so special. We will say, we always ask people, what is your best find or your greatest find? Well, it's the people that we find along the way, isn't it?
It is.
It really, truly is, because, I have a lot of special finds too, but, and even Dwight, we've talked about it. The brotherhood that we have amongst us is just really quite amazing, with Thomas Walsh and Chris Marker and Doug Prock and Gordon. I mean, there's just so many of us, and we just literally enjoy spending time together.
And that's great. And I could tell if I was hunting in a bad neighborhood or something, I'd want Billy on my side for sure.
Oh yeah.
Funny you say that. Dwight says he feels real comfortable when I'm with him, but I wouldn't say I'm 7.5 feet tall. I'm more like 6'4", not 7.5 feet tall, but I am around the 350 range. But it's nothing but size. It's all about how you really are.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the truth. That's the way it is. And if you win a T-shirt, you might want one of those wide pride shirts that Detectives is making. that's associated. Yeah, that's associated with the American Digger magazine, and there's some big boys over there, and they make those wide pride shirts. They sent me one of those, but it really don't fit me, Hey, great call, Billy. Great call. And
yes, sir. Well, I got Billy on the line. Billy I'd like to kind of tell you something and Mark Hoover kind of touched on it earlier if I wanted to. And Billy is one of the, is one of the inner circle members of the New Age Goonies, and I shared this with him. He's seen the video that I created. But I'm actually on the brink of finishing a prototype of a miniature metal detector that will actually work. I've created the circuit. I'm using a magnetic switch and piezo buzzer and LED bulbs, and I've been working on this for several weeks trying to figure it out. And one of the biggest things was the power. How to get a battery into the housing unit on the little miniature metal detector. And then one day I had a brainstorm. I was like, don't put it in the house. Don't put it in the head control. So what I've done is using a button battery. And this was the breakthrough, is I've actually created a coil, and the coil will actually be the power source. It'll have a button battery, as the coil, and it'll be connected to the magnetic switch. And the way this works is it'll come on a pedestal, and you'll wave it over these coins that I produce that'll come with it, and it will actually beep, and it will actually the LED will light up, and just one more dimension to the stuff that I do. I'm always looking for ways to wow people. So anyway, I showed Billy the video of it, and the feedback was just awesome. So that's in the works, and I'm hopefully have one on Facebook within maybe 2 weeks.
Oh man! And Celeste is in chat. She said, "I want one." That'd be the perfect thing to hunt in between all that trash, wouldn't it, Jeff?
It sure would. We may find a good detector that way.
Yeah, we could. No doubt about it. Hey, great call, Billy. And
thank you, Billy.
All righty. Thank you all. Love the show, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, Billy.
Appreciate it.
All right, y'all take care.
Okay. We are kind of down to that point. We're going to ask everybody to put a number in between 1 and 100. And the first one that gets the lucky number is going to win a miniature of whatever detector that you use, because Gary's going to make whatever you use. So go ahead and start now, and we'll just start watching the chat here. And as soon as we see that number, we will stop everybody, and we'll come back. And they have started.
They have started. And then they have started.
They have started.
I see that. Wow.
Man.
Yep, they're flying in.
Yeah. They are. I don't see it yet.
I don't either, but they are.
One number at a time.
Whoa, stop.
Whoa,
stop,
there it is.
Stop. We got it.
Okay.
We got it. I'm looking. The number was 72. And I saw that, I think Ken King had 72 in, did he? I don't know.
I believe it was him also.
People are still putting them in.
Yeah,
I can't
72.
Even,
that was Ken King, yep.
I can't even back up to it. Let's go back and check. Let's go back and check and make sure. We don't want to make a mistake here.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. That was right after Outdoorsy Gal put 5 or 6 in a row, 57, 56, 55, 17, 21, then Beyond Sight and Sound 21, then Ken King 72.
I agree. I
congratulations.
I see too.
Well,
All right,
great job then. Hey, Ken King, call in because I want you to talk to Gary, and I want you to tell him what kind of detector that you've got, and you can personally we'll send the information later, but call in if you don't care, and join the show with us here. I know you're no stranger to talking on the show because Ken has got. He's got the Weekly Dirt, and then he's got the Digger Spotlight. By the way, you had a great show with Jeff Ford and Mike Clutter. And if you don't know that number, it's 270-495-0315.
Now I'm trying to get to the top to put it in.
You can't get to the top tonight. We've had all kinds of.
There we go.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. We've got a winner.
Mark Hoover, he was right after. I started sweating there for a little bit. It was rough work.
It was rough work. Hey, Ken, congratulations.
Hey, thank you, Lloyd. Appreciate it. Gary, amazing. Thank you, sir. Wow, I won something. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
You not only won something, you won something. I tell you.
I won something with a capital S and a capital T. I mean,
yeah, just
Gary,
just cap them all.
I saw you interviewed over there. I saw you interviewed over there on Gone Digging this one time, and that's what introduced me to you. And I checked your stuff out there, and I just thought it was absolutely incredible. So, what an amazing thing!
Man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking here? What do you use, or what do you want?
Well, I mean, what do you got? If
Well,
I have a choice,
well,
he's going to make it special for you. What are you swinging?
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
A custom job.
Custom job. Well, I'm currently swinging a Technetics T2.
Okay.
I swing that, and I also swing a Technetics Patriot. So, yeah, whatever. It's just an amazing thing.
Okay. So listen, as you probably heard, this is also a detector that I've never seen before. And so I'll do research on it, but you can help me out. And what I would ask you to do is just grab a tape measure and start measuring everything, and just get me, go on Facebook, on Messenger, and just start sending me dimensions, and how big your shaft is, how big your detector shaft is, how big your coil is, your hand grip, your ground stand, and your control box, and let me know what size coil you've got on that thing, in case it's not a stock coil. I don't want to put a stock coil in if you're not using a stock coil. And if you got any special marks on, any stickers, pretty much send me pictures of everything. And what you're going to get for winning is you're going to get, a 1/12 scale duplicate of it.
Wow, how incredible is that? You're going to have a heck of a time making that quarter holder sticker, I think.
Oh, that's blasphemy right there! I tell you, you needed the Relics radio sticker on that thing before you makes it.
That's it. They might have a few more on before I send them those dimensions. But hey, thanks, Gary. I will get a hold of you on Messenger. That's the best way to get a hold of you.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. And I could use one of those stickers too. I actually have a collection on the inside of my van. Anytime I meet somebody, I always ask them for a sticker. So if you're giving them out, send one my way. I'll send you one of mine back.
I'll definitely get you some stuff for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Man, what an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. And Lloyd, Jeff, thank you guys, man. Awesome.
And let me tell you something other too, Ken. Mark Hoover called in, and Mark Hoover is still on the line, so you can thank Mark Hoover, Mr. Good Luck Mark Hoover. It's worked for me.
Mark Hoover.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Mark Hoover effect. I need the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the T-shirt, I don't think, because I asked you to call in. I don't know. We put you on there.
No, not that T-shirt. I need the Mark Hoover effect T-shirt.
Oh, we don't have one of those yet. But you know what? I think that we're probably going to get. I think Ken and them are finally going to get that thing going. Because
the Mark Hoover effect, I love that.
Yeah, the Mark Hoover effect. And it's
You're embarrassing me.
It's there he is lurking in the background. It's working for us, Mark. I tell you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mark. Yeah. If any of that luck rubbed off on me there, I sure appreciate it.
Yeah. Congratulations, kid.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Hey, Lloyd, Jeff, thanks, man. I'll let you guys go get on with your show, and Gary, I'll get a hold of you.
Thank you for listening to the show, buddy.
Hey, great job.
All right, guys.
Great job.
Right,
good to talk to you, and congratulations, Kim. We got one.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. You guys.
We got one more giveaway to give. We've got a Relics Radio T-shirt, and Ken, you're on the hot seat now. 1, 2, 3. Give us a number. And I've got them written down here. I've got John from New York is 1, Debbie's number 2, and Billy Keenan's is number 3. So you pick, and you put it on there, and we'll announce it, and then they can send me their information, and I'll pass that on along to you. And this has just been a fantastic show, hasn't it, Jeff?
It sure has. The show of giveaways. And, of course, I mean, we've got more to give away, so just coming. But, I mean, it's been a great show.
And Ken said his wife said number 2, so that would be Debbie. That's a good choice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good choice. And you other guys, John and Billy, keep listening to the show, because we give a shirt away every week. Or if you don't want to wait on that, just contact detectees.com, and you can buy any of their shirts. We'd like for you to buy a Relics Radio shirt, but you can buy any of them. But that's just great. So you have Debbie send me or I tell you what, Gary, you just send me a Facebook message with Debbie's address and all of that on. And Ken said, sorry guys, blame it on the wife, not me. Hey, that's always an out, I mean, we can always blame it on our wife. But Gary, just have her you just message me her address, and I'll pass that along to Ken, and we'll get her a Relics Radio T-shirt. And I tell you what, there is good luck with those. I mean, almost as good as the Mark Hoover effect.
When I've been deer hunting the last couple of times, I wore the hoodie. And so you see what happened the last couple of times I've been deer hunting. So
oh, man.
It is good luck.
He harvested a couple of monsters, Gary, I tell you. So
really?
He harvested a couple of monsters. And I know that Ohio Relic Hunters wanting a 2-hour show. Me and him, we're always lobbying for a 2-hour show. But we've gone on quite a while, and we've kept you for quite a while. And I think we've asked all the questions. I don't know.
I don't.
No, how'd you get so darn handsome? Aggie wanted to know that.
Aggie wanted to know that. I guess I had owed it all to my parents, I guess, because I've got a good looking wife, I've got good looking children, and when it comes to looks, I think I'm in the bottom of the totem pole here at the house. But thank you, Aggie. I appreciate that compliment.
I think that we've dealt with all of those. You have been an absolutely fantastic guest tonight. Why don't you tell everybody how to get in touch with you, where your websites are, what you are on Facebook and everything?
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do that. I do have a website. It's mydetecting.com. There's nothing for sale on it. It is strictly a hobby website, and it's just mydetecting.com, and you can see examples of some of the things we've talked about, as far as, everything from the little figures, the little mini detectors, dioramas, some of my finds, some of the things that I restore. And if you want to leave a send me a comment or something like that, or a suggestion. I'm always looking for suggestions too. A lot of my dioramas were inspired by certain individuals, like Steve Meeks over at Kellycoke. He was the inspiration for Abandoned Train Station, the one that's in the vintage TV that you might have seen. It was his idea, and I thought about it, and he was absolutely right. And it's an amazing diorama. It's probably one of my best works. And so I'm always looking for suggestions, and feel free to either pop in, send me a message through my website or on Facebook. It's just, just search Gary Penta and you'll see me there. And I'm working on an Instagram account. One of my sons, he says, "Dad, you got to get on Instagram." So he actually looked, and my detecting was available, and he captured it. And so we're working on getting that fired up too.
Man, great job.
And I also have a YouTube page and Vimeo, and they're both the same thing, Gary Penta. And so on YouTube, you can see some examples of some of the dioramas and some things that I've done here there. And I will, work on getting all those links put together and get them on my website.
Yeah. And guys, go check all of his stuff out. It is absolutely amazing. I'm just floored by everything that I've seen there. And like I said, you've been a great guest tonight, Gary, hadn't he, Jeff?
Sure has. And then we can't do this show without our listeners and stuff, but especially our guest, it's as good as you've been. So, and then some of the work you've done, it's so great. And the train station, that is really awesome. The lighthouse, and you've even got little figures out there where they're metal detecting and digging a hole in the ground. So that's pretty neat.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Now, thank you for being our guest.
And
thank you very much for having me.
And hang on, I'll close the show out here in a minute, and we'll talk just a moment before we let you go. But, Jeff, we had a lot of new folks in the chat here tonight.
We did. We have several. And, of course, I can't go back and see them all, but there were several, and we sure did. So we're doing something good.
Yeah.
And then, it's amazing. People want to listen to rednecks with a metal detector. So.
It is that. And Celeste said, "Bummer, it's over already." Well, I tell you what, if we'd have got some more calls, I wouldn't have mind going 2 hours because my wife's gone. I got nothing else to do, But go ahead.
Like you mentioned earlier, but I said to you I wasn't very chatty kind of guy, but I guess when it comes to my hobby, I just feel real comfortable with it, and I'm actually surprised at how much I was able to carry the conversation. And I'm looking at the comments section on Relics Radio, and I see we're coming up on 1,000 comments.
That's just great. That is great here tonight. And sometimes you have to, I'll tell you something on that. You have to scroll down and get them all on the screen, because I think that we've probably got more than that. But it will only show you what's on the screen at that time. But I'd say this is going to be one of our biggest shows. I sure do.
Yeah.
And a shout out to Mark Hoover. Mark Hoover books most of these shows for us. And he's really been a shot in the arm to us. He's got us some great guests. I keep thinking, we can't top this show, but each week we just continue to have great shows and pulling in more people and pulling in more listeners and more people in the chat. And thank you so much for the giveaway tonight. That was absolutely awesome.
That was. We can't beat that. Everybody's been looking at them, and then here somebody just won one on our Relics radio show. So thank you very much.
I was floored this afternoon whenever I talked to him, and he said, "Do you do giveaways?" And I said, "Yeah, we give away T-shirts." And he said, "Well, what about I give one away one of the miniature metal detectors?" And I was just floored by that. So it's great. And we'll have you back on, no doubt about that.
Absolutely, anytime.
In the future. Okay, you guys hang on there for a little bit, and I'll close the show out here. If you like metal detecting shows like this, we want to encourage you to check out Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel. It's on Sunday night and Wednesday night, and then All Metal Mode is on Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. American Digger Relic Roundup is on Monday night at 9 o'clock. History Seekers is on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. Hardcore Metal Detecting has a show Thursday night and Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And we've got a new group in on Friday night, or every other Friday night. It is the XP Team USA, and they've got a good show. I listened to the last of that. And obviously, Catch us every Thursday night here on Relics Radio, me and Jeff, and I promise you, we're going to have another good guest. Well, no, we're not going to have another good guest next week. We're going to have our Thanksgiving show, and we're going to give away the Garrett AT Pro Pointer, and Ken and Mark Guthrie have thrown in a hoodie, so more good giveaways next week. So join us after you've eaten turkey all day and had all the family that you can stand. Come on into the show here and join us next Thursday night. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.